on Earth 65, where Gwen Stacy is the one and only Spider-Woman. Unlike most universes, Peter Parker here was just an ordinary teenager and Gwen's closest friend. Peter was one of the few people who knew her secret identity, but Gwen's father, Police Captain George Stacy, had no idea. In fact, he hated Spider-Woman, believing she was nothing more than a dangerous vigilante. Peter spent years being bullied, and no matter how often Gwen protected him, he hated feeling weak. Desperate to become stronger, he created an experimental serum and tested it on himself. Instead of making him powerful, it transformed him into a giant lizard-like monster that rampaged across the city completely out of control. Gwen rushed in to stop him, but during the battle, Peter was fatally injured. Only after he changed back into his human form did Gwen realize the monster she had been fighting was her best friend all along. Devastated, she stayed by Peter's side as he died in her arms. Moments later, Captain Stacy arrived and found Spider-Woman standing over Peter's body. With no idea what had really happened, he assumed Spider-Woman had murdered Peter. From that day on, his hatred for the city's masked hero only grew stronger. Sometime later, another crisis strikes the city when a strange bird-like creature suddenly appears, tearing through buildings and causing chaos everywhere. Captain Stacy heads to the scene, hoping to stop it himself. Before he can get hurt, Gwen secretly pulls him out of danger and then confronts the creature. Using her spider sense and quick instincts, Gwen realizes the monster isn't actually a bird at all. It's Adrian Toomes, the Vulture from another universe, accidentally transported into her world through a dimensional breach. This version of the Vulture is armed with futuristic, Renaissance-inspired weapons, making him far more dangerous than any enemy Gwen has ever faced. She fights back with everything she has, but she's clearly outmatched. Just as the Vulture is about to overwhelm her, a portal rips open in midair. Out steps Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of the future, who immediately joins the battle. Even together, Gwen and Miguel struggle to keep the Vulture under control. Realizing they need backup, Miguel calls in Jessica Drew, another Spider-Woman who charges into the fight on her motorcycle. With all three Spider heroes working together, the tide finally begins to turn. The Vulture continues smashing through the city, even attacking a police helicopter and sending it crashing toward the streets below. At the last second, Gwen, Miguel, and Jessica combine their strength to stop the helicopter in midair, saving everyone beneath it. With civilians safe, Miguel finally defeats the Vulture, allowing Jessica to secure him for transport back to Spider Society headquarters. After the battle, Gwen quietly sits alone, trying to process everything that's happened. That's when Captain Stacy finds her, points his gun at Spider-Woman, and orders her to remove her mask. Having no other choice, Gwen reveals her identity. George is completely stunned. The masked vigilante he spent months hunting is actually his own daughter. Gwen desperately explains that Peter's death was a tragic accident, that Peter transformed himself into the lizard and she only tried to save him, but George is too overwhelmed to accept the truth. As both a police captain and a father, he's torn apart by what he's just learned. Meanwhile, Miguel prepares to leave with Jessica and the captured Vulture. Seeing how alone Gwen has become in her own universe, Jessica convinces Miguel to give her a chance. Although Miguel is reluctant at first, he eventually agrees. He hands Gwen a special dimensional travel device, officially inviting her to join their mission across the Spider-Verse. From that moment on, Gwen's life changes forever as she steps into a much bigger world filled with countless spider people from across the multiverse. The story then shifts to Earth 1610, where Miles Morales has been protecting Brooklyn as Spider-Man ever since Kingpin's collider was destroyed. But balancing school, family, and superhero duties is becoming harder every day. While Miles is stopping criminals, his parents are waiting for him at school, worried because his grades keep slipping. His counselor recommends a top physics program outside Brooklyn, believing Miles has incredible potential. Miles loves the idea, but his parents aren't ready to let him leave home. Meanwhile, a strange new villain called the Spot starts causing trouble. His body is covered in black portals that let him teleport attacks from anywhere. At first, Miles doesn't take him seriously and easily wins their fight, leaving the Spot furious. The Spot then reveals a shocking truth. He used to be an Alchemax scientist working on Kingpin's collider. During an experiment, he accidentally brought the radioactive spider from Earth 42 into Miles' universe, the same spider that bit Miles and turned him into Spider-Man. Later, when Miles destroyed the collider, the explosion transformed the scientist into the Spot. Blaming Miles for ruining his life, he swears revenge. Before the fight can end, the Spot accidentally falls into one of his own portals and disappears into a strange dimensional void. Afterward, Spider-Man briefly talks with Officer Jeff Morales, who unknowingly confides in his own son. Jeff admits he's worried because Miles keeps pushing his family away, and he's afraid of losing him. Still wearing the mask, Miles encourages his father to trust his son a little more. Inside the dimensional void, the Spot finally learns how his powers really work. He discovers he can travel freely between universes, but he also realizes his abilities are fading. To become stronger, he'll need to absorb the energy of colliders across the multiverse. Later, Jeff celebrates his promotion to police captain with a party. Everyone is there except Miles, who's once again busy saving the city. He eventually rushes in carrying 2 cakes, but after swinging across Brooklyn, both cakes are completely smashed, making for an awkward entrance. The next day, Miles' parents confront him about constantly disappearing. Frustrated, Miles insists he's almost 16 now and asks them to trust that whenever he's gone, he's doing something important. But Jeff isn't convinced. He believes Miles is hiding something and urges him to tell the truth. For a moment, Miles almost reveals that he's Spider-Man, but he can't bring himself to do it. Instead, he heads back to his room, and Jeff grounds him for 2 months. Not long after, a portal suddenly opens inside Miles' bedroom, and Gwen Stacy steps through. The two are genuinely happy to see each other again. Gwen notices that Miles has filled his sketchbook with drawings of her, making it obvious he never stopped thinking about her. She invites him out, and although he's grounded, Miles decides to sneak away with her anyway. The two spend the day swinging across New York, catching up on everything they've missed. Gwen tells Miles she's been traveling the multiverse with an entire team of spider people. While they're together, she secretly plants a tracking device at the Spot's apartment to monitor his movements. Later, sitting upside down on the side of a skyscraper, Gwen admits something that's been bothering her. She says that in almost every universe, Gwen Stacy falls in love with Spider-Man, and it never ends well. Just as Miles starts reaching for her hand, those words stop him in his tracks. Their quiet moment is interrupted when they return to Jeff's promotion party. Miles introduces Gwen to his parents, who immediately suspect there's more than friendship between them. Embarrassed, Miles insists they're just friends, while Rio jokingly tells Gwen not to steal her son away. Suddenly, Gwen's dimensional watch alerts her that the Spot has resurfaced. She quickly says goodbye and leaves through a portal. Watching her disappear, Miles can't stay behind. He secretly follows Gwen through the portal without telling anyone. The portal leads them to Earth 50101, better known as Mumbatan, where Spider-Man Pavitr Prabhakar protects the city. By the time Miles arrives, the Spot has grown far stronger. Gwen warns Miles that he never should have followed her, but there's no time to argue. As Miles begins glitching from being in another universe, Gwen nearly falls, only to be rescued by Pavitr. The 3 spider heroes immediately team up against the Spot, but he's now on an entirely different level. He escapes into Alchemax, activates the universe's collider, and begins absorbing its energy to increase his multiversal powers. Just as the heroes are about to lose him, Hobie Brown, the Spider-Punk, joins the fight and smashes through the facility's defenses with his sonic-powered guitar. Even with the extra help, they're too late. The Spot fully absorbs the collider's energy, becoming powerful enough to travel the multiverse at will. Before leaving, the Spot forces Miles to witness a terrifying vision of the future, one where Captain Jeff Morales dies, just like Inspector Singh is about to. Moments later, the collider begins collapsing, sending the entire building crashing down. Miles, Gwen, Pavitr, and Hobie work together to rescue civilians trapped beneath the rubble. When Inspector Singh risks his life to save a little girl, he becomes trapped under the collapsing structure. Pavitr can only save Gayatri, leaving Miles with an impossible choice. Ignoring Gwen's warnings, Miles dives into danger and rescues both the little girl and Inspector Singh. Everyone survives, but the victory comes with a terrible consequence. A dark anomaly begins consuming Mumbatan itself. Jessica Drew and several spider people arrive to contain the damage, explaining that Miles has just disrupted a canon event, a fixed moment in every spider person's life that isn't supposed to change. Inspector Singh was destined to die, and by saving him, Miles may have put not only this universe but the entire Spider-Verse at risk. Jessica tells Gwen that Miguel O'Hara wants both of them at Spider Society headquarters. Through a portal, Miles, Gwen, Jessica, and Hobie Brown arrive in Nueva York on Earth 928, the home of the Spider Society. Miles is blown away. Hundreds of spider people from different universes and timelines are gathered in one place. Since he's outside his own universe, his body begins to glitch. but Jessica gives him a special dimensional watch that stabilizes him. As Miles explores the headquarters, he reunites with Peter B. Parker, who's now a father to an adorable baby named Mayday. Seeing Peter again brings a smile to Miles's face, but the warm reunion doesn't last long. Miguel is furious. He blames Gwen for bringing Miles into Mumbatan and blames Miles for disrupting a canon event by saving Inspector Singh. Confused, Miles demands to know what a canon event actually is. Miguel explains that every Spider-Person's life follows certain fixed moments that must happen. One of the most important is the death of a police captain or someone close to Spider-Man. These tragedies are what hold the Spider-Verse together. If even one of those events is prevented, an entire universe can begin to collapse. To prove it, Miguel reveals his own painful past. After discovering another universe where his alternate self had died, he secretly took his place and lived the life he had always wanted. But because that reality wasn't meant for him, the entire universe eventually collapsed, taking everyone he loved with it. From that moment on, Miguel vowed never to let another canon event be broken. That's when Miles realizes the horrifying truth. The vision the Spot showed him wasn't random. His father, Jeff Morales, is about to become police captain, meaning his death is the next canon event. Miles refuses to accept that. There's no way he'll stand by and let his father die. Seeing that Miles won't change his mind, Miguel traps him inside an energy barrier to stop him from returning home. But Miles isn't giving up. Using his bioelectric venom powers, he overloads the barrier, breaks free, and races toward the headquarters go-home machine, a device that can send every Spider-Person back to their own universe. Miguel immediately orders the entire Spider Society to stop him. Within seconds, hundreds of Spider people begin chasing Miles through the massive headquarters. Even Gwen, Jessica, Peter B. Parker, and Miguel join the pursuit, believing that stopping Miles is the only way to save the multiverse. Only Hobie refuses to take part. Instead of helping Miguel, he quietly leaves the headquarters through his own portal. What follows is one of the movie's most thrilling sequences. Miles swings, wall runs, and outsmarts hundreds of Spider people in an incredible chase across Nueva York. Even Peter B. briefly distracts him with baby Mayday, hoping the others can catch up, but Miles quickly realizes what's happening, gently hands Mayday back, and escapes once again. Despite the entire Spider Society hunting him down, Miles keeps pulling farther ahead, determined to make it back home and save his father before it's too late. During the chase, Miles lands on a high-speed train racing through Nueva York, but Miguel catches up almost immediately. The two launch into a brutal fight as the rest of the Spider Society closes in. Miguel finally reveals the truth he's been hiding. He tells Miles that he was never supposed to become Spider-Man. The radioactive spider that bit him came from Earth 42, meaning it was stolen from another universe. If that spider had never bitten Miles, Peter Parker from Earth 1610 would still be alive, the Collider would never have been destroyed, and the Spot would never have existed. To Miguel, every disaster in the Spider-Verse traces back to Miles. Miles refuses to accept the blame. He knows all he's ever done is save people. Using his bioelectric venom powers, he shocks Miguel, breaks free, and sprints toward the go-home machine. Inside the control room, Margot Kess detects someone activating the machine, but Miles has turned invisible. Before anyone can stop him, the scanner locks onto his DNA and sends him back to what everyone believes is his home universe. Miguel arrives seconds too late. Furious, he blames Gwen for everything and sends her back to Earth 65, while he leads Jessica Drew and several Spider people to capture Miles himself. Back home, Gwen quietly returns to her apartment, where her father finally opens up to her. George reveals that he has resigned from the police force, admitting he no longer believes Gwen killed Peter. The two reconcile in an emotional moment, and George gives Gwen a dimensional watch that Hobie secretly left behind. That's when Gwen realizes something huge. If her father is no longer a police captain, then his supposed canon event never happens. That means Miguel's rules aren't as absolute as he claimed. Determined to help Miles, Gwen opens a portal and heads to Earth 1610. Peter B. Parker also decides to join her, believing Miles deserves a chance to save his father. Meanwhile, Miguel's team begins searching New York for Miles. Gwen cleverly steals Ben Reilly's portal watch, taking one more Spider-Person out of the chase. But there's one massive problem. The go-home machine made a mistake. Because the spider that bit Miles originally came from Earth 42, the machine sends him there instead of Earth 1610. Miles doesn't realize it at first. When he arrives home, his mother doesn't recognize his story about being Spider-Man, and he suddenly begins glitching again. That's when the horrifying truth hits him. He's in the wrong universe. Soon, Miles discovers that Uncle Aaron is still alive in Earth 42, but his father, Jeff, is the one who died instead. Worse, because this world never had a Spider-Man, New York has fallen into crime and chaos. Before Miles can process everything, he's knocked unconscious. When he wakes up, he's tied to a punching bag inside Aaron's hideout. Standing in front of him is the last person he ever expected to see, his own Earth-42 counterpart. In this universe, Miles was never bitten by the spider. Instead, he became the Prowler, following in Uncle Aaron's footsteps. At the same time, Gwen reaches Earth 1610 and discovers that Miles never made it home. Realizing something has gone terribly wrong, she promises Jeff and Rio that she'll bring their son back. She then assembles her own rescue team, including Peter B. Parker, Mayday, Pavitr Prabhakar, Hobie Brown, Margot Kess, Spider-Man Noir, Penny Parker, and Spider-Ham, and sets out to find Miles before the Spot launches his final attack. In the film's closing moments, the Spot has become more powerful than ever and prepares to destroy Earth 1610, while Miles, still trapped on Earth 42, quietly charges his bioelectric powers. With the Prowler standing in front of him, Miles prepares to fight back. And that's where Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse ends, leaving the story on a massive cliffhanger.